Are you looking to make a big impact in 2025? Well, I've got a solution for you. Why not do it with a small book? Happy New Year! It's day 2 of 2025. I'm C. Ruth Taylor, and this is the masterclass that will give you the roadmap to make a living with your book through entrepreneurship. So stay tuned.
Let's welcome C. Ruth Taylor. Ruth has created the Authorpreneur Secrets Academy and the first Caribbean Authorpreneur Summit around her book, Authorpreneur Secrets. Write fast, publish affordably, and generate lasting income. As an Amazon best-selling author of 21 books, she has coached several Caribbean authors to become Amazon best-selling authors. Her mission is to raise up 10,000 winning Caribbean entrepreneurs by 2030 to ensure fewer books die in the minds of their authors, that more manuscripts become published legacies, and precious lives are transformed with the turn of every page.
All right, it is our first masterclass for 2025. That's the Entrepreneur Secrets Masterclass, and it's all part of our efforts to raise up 10,000 entrepreneurs, Caribbean entrepreneurs, by 2030. And it is doable if you join me for our Vision 2030 campaign, and if more of us write small books. So it's about books and business. And I believe both books and business, and when you combine it, author entrepreneurship, that it is a way to transform lives. And so if you're not yet an author, I want to encourage you to write a book. Now, the book doesn't have to be a huge book for it to make an impact. And I'm going to be sharing something with you from my newest book, Small Book, Big Impact. We're going to be doing a 5-part series called Small Books, Big Impact. And today I'm just going to give you an overview of the series and expand on the idea of small books. So I wrote this book on the 23rd of December. It's the fastest book I have ever written and published, and I did it in less than 24 hours. Now I'm called a rocket writer because I tend to write books fast, and this was prior to ChatGPT. I was doing that. I know how to coach you to write a book in a day, and prior to this book, my fastest book was written and published in 10 days. 2 days to write it, 8 days to work on publishing it, and that was in ebook form, and I printed a proof copy of the print book or the paperback. This one, I haven't completed the paperback yet, so the ebook was published. But the reason why I was able to do it that fast was, one, these are ideas that have been percolating in my mind for quite a while. And so I was working on another book, which is coming out this year, February 14th, Better Than I Dreamed. It's a 6-week study of the book of Ruth, how despite a season of sorrow and pain, disaster, that in the end, their lives turned out better than they dreamed. So it's a book about how painful journeys can lead to beautiful destinations. And of course, everything that I do is book-centered, right? Books are the platform that I use to help to transform lives. And so I'd included in this a bonus section on Ruth, right? I have been studying the book of Ruth, and I use it as part of my publishing business model and inspiration. And so I had it as a chapter, and a friend, I was just catching up with a friend and sharing what was happening. And she said, why not take those 10 tips out of the book, Better Than I Dreamed, and turn it into an entire book? or offer the tips as a lead magnet. And so I listened, and she gave me some ideas how to complete the book, adding affirmations and questions, and say, why not make this a small book? And so because I had these ideas already and I just needed to expand on it, I ended up doing it. So this is a small book. I'm going to be using a 4 by, what is it? 4 by 7, 4.3, 7 times 7 book size. I'm now looking at 64 pages. I'm going to complete the cover, printer proof, review to make sure all the specs and everything are okay, and then publish it. So it took me about 3.5 hours to do the conversion, to add all the parts. And then I used ChatGPT to help with the editing. ChatGPT also helped me with some of the affirmations and the questions that I used. And so that is how I was able to do it fast. So it served as my editor. I did not outsource it. So any money made from this book is going to be straight profit, right? And a few persons have bought it. It is already on the Amazon hourly bestseller list. It has been there for several days. And I want to encourage you to go and get it. So it's 10 success tips to write and sell books that change lives. So I'm not going to share all the tips today. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a 5-week episode. And it's small books, big impact. And it's about tips to write and sell books that change lives so that you can make a living with books, right? Because at the end, that's what we're trying to do, because most authors don't make a full-time living with their books. And so I pray that your 2025 will be more impactful than you ever dreamed or imagined. If you take me upon the challenge of writing a small book, maybe you already have written one. Maybe you're thinking of writing another, and that's okay. This is my 29th publication. And so if you choose to write a book, a small book to give a big impact, this can be your inspiration. You don't have to use what you already have. You can start something new. And if you're looking for tips and ideas how to do that, remember the rocket writing. I have a free rocket writing masterclass and ebook to teach you how to write a book in 24 hours or 30 days. All right. So I'm going to work on the ebook and the print book, and get that out. But if you want to make an impact in 2025 in a very significant way, I want to encourage you to write a small book. A book doesn't have to be big, long. It doesn't have to be 300 pages, 400 pages to make an impact. No, you don't want, we're not talking about a booklet, right? So even though this is small, it's 64 pages, it's perhaps going to come out small like this, but it can have a big impact. And that is because of what books do. It can have a big impact in your own life. Maybe a book has been part of your dream for ages. It's a lifelong dream. So for many persons, writing a book is their lifelong dream. I remember when I didn't know about all the different benefits of writing a book, but I knew that a book was valuable and I was willing to pay the price to get this book, my first book, done. So I just wasn't confident in the beginning, but I was told that I could write. And it took me 10 years later to write. And the first book that I wrote was my memoir. But the book it didn't look like a big book, but the print was fine. And so there are persons who, older persons who wanted to read it, and they said that it would be bigger. But from the very beginning, I didn't want a big book. I wanted to go into small books. And so one of the things that was said to me is that first book, Hearted Queen Unshackled, it had so many ideas that it could have been multiple books. And so 5 years later, I republished it and took out some of the content and created 2 books from that. But small doesn't mean ineffective. There's a saying in Jamaica that says, "It little, but it tallow." So this is an example of a small book. Entrepreneur Secrets is not necessarily a small book, but it's big enough, but it could classify. I don't think this passed 40,000 words. And you see that it is a decent size. Here's another small book. This is Balancing by Dr. Lisa Facey-Shaw. And it's a small book that has had a big impact on me. It is helping me to finish my degree, motivating me. Here's another small book. So I want you to understand what I mean by small book. This is by Joanne Richards Goff, Auntie Jojo Goes Vegan. This doesn't pass 25,000 words, but it is big enough. It has a spine, and it doesn't necessarily turn you off so easily. This is another small book that has been having a big impact on me. This is Start, Grow, Thrive, Build a Business to Last by Nerissa Golden. Look at it. It's not huge. So when you talk about the small books, it can be small like this. So we're not talking about a booklet. This is about 8,000 words or something. And yeah, small book, big impact. So you want a quick win in 2025. You want to make a big impact. I encourage you to write a small book. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit from chapter 1 of Small Book, Big Impact, and then invite you to join me for the 5-part series on why this matters. So next week, I have a training, so I won't be able to come on at 6, but what I could do is come on at maybe 4:30 to do this so that I don't miss a week. So this week it's Small Book, Big Impact, 10 Success Tips to Change Lives. I'm just giving you an overview on what you can expect. Next week, I'm going to talk about the Ruth test. Does your book measure up? It's a deep dive into how small books carry big meaning, inspired by the book of Ruth, and share some more tips with you. Then the third week, we're going to have crafting short books with lasting influence, tips for making your small book powerful, impactful, and memorable. And then in episode 4, we're going to talk about marketing a small book for big results, strategies to sell and position your small book to maximize its impact. We're going to do that. And then in the final week, I'm going to have some more tips for you and highlights. So let's talk about the first one, small book, big impact. And so I'm going to go through chapter 1. There is a book on setting and achieving goals. It's called, I just want to tell you what the name of it is. It's 26 pages. That book was first written in 1926. The famous Little Red Book that makes your dreams come true. And that was published in 1926, republished in 2022. Depending on which one you're looking at, it has over 5,000 reviews on one edition. And I think the latest edition has over 1,000 reviews. And it works, is what people have said. So small book, big impact. The book of Ruth itself in the Bible is just a little over 2,000 words in the original language. That's Hebrew. And then in the English translations, depending on which version is being used, it still doesn't pass 2,500 words. But yet still we remember it. I adopted the name Ruth inspired by what I have read in that book. I am even, like I said, I've written a commentary, a study of the book of Ruth. So that tiny book, that small book, which is part of an anthology, it has so transformed my way of thinking and being. It was written over 2,000 years ago, and it still matters today. And so if you're thinking of making a big impact, that's why I'm saying you can have a quick win by having a small book, because that was written over 2,000 years ago. And the story is still applicable, that it is still impacting me thousands of years later, that I am even going to write a book that will help me to help others who are going through crises and cannot see anything come out of that. The small book in itself has inspired me in terms of how I approach publishing, how I approach my life. You know, I keep getting insights from this book that is changing my life, and insights that is helping me to be an agent of transformation in the lives of others. Right? So if you want to make a big impact, I'm saying do that. So the book doesn't have to be long to be impactful. If you want to sell more books and create a big impact, this is one of the things that you have to grasp. And I showed you some small books. You don't have to write, it's not going to be 2,000 words. It could be like the Book of Ruth. If it is a children's book, or if it is a poem and you're going to turn that into a journal, or you're going to add images and add pictures, that could work. The Book of Ruth, though, however, is a memoir. It is about a story of the person's life, of something that happened at a particular point in time, right? So it's not an autobiography, and it's just 4 chapters, but it covers like 10 years succinctly, right? And so you could consider, what part of my life could I document? What lessons could I learn? It could be a tip book like this, that which I have written here, that you could convert that to a small book that could promote your business, that could have principles, that could have actionable steps that will help somebody to do something. So generally, when I talk about small books, I talk about 10,000 to 30,000 words, because at least for a 10,000 word book, you will have some kind of spine, depending on the size that you use to format it, right? So this is another small book. This is Daphne Ellis. I think maybe between 15 and 20,000 words. Small book. You can finish reading it quickly, and then the story that you document in it is what will bring out the impact, right? Now, in terms of regular letter size, I often get that. How many pages would I have to write? So if you're looking at 10,000 words, or at minimum, I want to challenge you for that. If you're looking at 10,000 words, a page is like 250. A regular letter size page is 250 words on average. So let's do the math on that. 10,000 divided by 250. You're looking at 40 pages. Can you not write 40 pages this year? Can you not pick up some life lessons and experience and organize that and put it in a form that will benefit others and write a small book? That's what I want to challenge you to do, because think again of the Book of Ruth. It's a small book within a bigger book. Can you not team up with somebody and publish a series of stories? I remember Marva Smith, former member of the Authorpreneur Secrets Academy, and she writes, I think it's for it's a book that is a catalog of stories or contribution from about 21 Black women. And she was a part of it. I think she shared her experience of going through Hurricane Maria and what happened in the British Virgin Islands. And that book became an award-winning book. So if this is a lifelong dream and you want to have a big impact, I would say a small book will help. One, I start going into some of the tips. It is easy to read. People will finish it quickly. You could make this into something that you use as a marketing tool for your business. You could build something around it, build a product. It could be an introduction for a course. It could be something for ministry. I don't know what is your goal. All I know is that a small book could help you to achieve that and make a big impact. And so I want to encourage you to do that. You can use, like I did for this book, you can use ChatGPT for your editing. You can gain ideas. You can be an AI assisted writer, or you can hire somebody who can help you. I have, for example, the rocket writing course. Like I told you, that masterclass is free, that you can go and get it. But if you want to have, to know some more, I encourage you to get this book, right? 10 success tips to write books that sell and that have lasting impact. So I don't want to reveal all of them, but we're going to continue in the series. And this is just $2.99. I want to encourage you to get it. It is not expensive. It is not just on Amazon either. You can use the books to read link to go and buy it. So it's just $2.99. It's on different platforms. It's on Kobo. It's on Barnes and Noble. I am going to put the location. Yes, books to read. I should also put that in the comments so that persons can click on it. The books to read link is right there. So you can get it on Amazon. When you click that link, it's going to take you to several platforms. You can get it on Kobo and elsewhere. So that you want to have a big impact. It's not just anything you're just going to put in this book. You want it relatable. You want it to have that timeless relevance, just like the Book of Ruth. Again, so many years, it is still impacting us. So I have some questions for you as I close out this introduction to this 5-part series. You can call this part 1. Small book, big impact. And it doesn't have to take long to write. I want you to say this affirmation with me. And because the book is only in ebook format, I'm going from my phone. It says, I can and I will write a small book with a big impact. The Book of Ruth is an example of that. The Little Red Book that I told you about is an example of that. Most of the books that my authors write are small books, and they are changing lives. This book is classified as a small book as well. And this book changed lives, keys to win at life. So when I talk about a small book, it's not huge. These are all on between 15,000. This is probably about a 20,000 or 25,000. That's a sweet spot that you can use. So I can and I will write a small book with a big impact. Here are some questions I have for you. This is a small book challenge. So I am issuing a small book challenge. Will you write a small book that can have a big impact in 2025? What type of book would you want to write? How many words are you aiming for? Will this be a solo book or part of an anthology? And finally, can you identify 1 to 3 small books that could serve as models or writing guides for your book? If you want to get more affirmations and more reasons why a small book would create a big impact, go get my new book, Small Book, Big Impact, for just $2.99, so that your 2025 can end up being better than you dreamed. I see 2 persons joined me live. Do we have any questions, any comments? Let me know before I log off. Wishing you Happy New Year. Next week, as I said before, I'm going to have the broadcast a little earlier because I'm doing a publishing boot camp from Monday to Thursday, 5 to 7 p.m. And so 6 o'clock would be our time on Thursday. So I'll have to do the broadcast the live teaching a little earlier. And so you can catch the replay. Thanks for joining. So that's my challenge. If you haven't done it yet, write a small book in 2025 that will give you a big impact. Remember, of making many books, there is no end. Go pen it to win it and dominate author entrepreneurship. Ta for now, until next time.